All right, everyone, welcome to today's recap. I hope you all are doing well and staying blessed. If you guys are new here, my name is Jeremiah, and I'm a small cap day trader. Today is a green day. I am very fortunate to be green because today could have been a bigger red day in relationship to my previous winning days because of FOMO and frustration and revenge trading. So I'm very grateful to be green. However, I'm not very proud of how I got to this point of being green. My execution today was not on point. I sort of woke up late by choice, but then also I slept in an extra 20 minutes later than what I intended to wake or at the time I intended to wake up at. Anyways, enough of the yapping. The first trade I took was on UGRO. The stock had a float of 680,000 shares. So a really low float. The price is good. I liked that about it. The news was something innovative production group complete strategic all stock merger with I don't know who, but obviously pretty well received. And the first trade I wanted to take was the break here over this pivot after this candle closed, and we got a little dip here right above the 9 EMA. I would have liked to take that. As you guys can see, I have my order there, but checking my share size, and I end up missing the pop above that level, and I didn't really want to FOMO in, and so I missed that. And now, of course, missing that move that I was thinking about taking, uh, now of course I feel FOMO, and so I take an entry here around 4. I don't know what the exact entry was or what I was paying attention to, but I think it was just this sort of like it was just the dip off of the I don't know, like the dip off of the highs and then hoping for a move back up. I ended up getting out break even, actually for like 1 penny loss, so it wasn't a big deal, but unfortunate that I missed this move here. That would have been nice to be in on. So this next trade I took was a dip off of the 9 EMA and the whole dollar of 4. I do like that there's both the 9 EMA and 4 as support. However, this doesn't look that good in terms of uh, being a good setup. It doesn't look that nice. Like this, there was a false breakout here. This sort of looks like a change in trend rather than a dip. Whereas if we had like red candle here, move a little bit of a move lower, another red candle, another red candle, but it started to go green, faked people out, and now it's dropping. So it looks like almost a bear flag set up there, and you know, for a move lower. But so no real surprise that we didn't see great resolution there. This isn't really a great setup. I think this is sort of emotional trading, sort of still kind of taking into consideration the fact that I missed this move, trying to compensate, and you know, maybe was feeling like, oh, like I deserve to be up a little bit more than this, considering I had the right idea on this one. I just didn't get it. But obviously the market doesn't care. So that was a fine trade. It was more or less break even, but it got me back to green on the day. But not a great trade anyways. So this next trade I took was a break over this pivot. This is not a super obvious pivot. This one is much better, where you can see it drop down, and then it makes a pivot here, and then it makes another move higher and breaks above that pivot. This one is sort of just like consolidating lower. Not a really clear setup, and I don't think it was obvious enough for me to justify taking it. I mean, what only thing it really had going for it is that it was curling up here a little bit, but I don't know, not a super obvious setup or one that I can say this should have worked, or you know, I don't know. Wasn't a great trade realistically, and this ended up being a decently sized loss. I think 11 cents of a loss. Yeah, so that was the 11-cent loser right there. And it curls back up here, and I FOMO back in for the break over this pivot, but It just doesn't feel like, it feels like too soon. Like this pivot was right, like one candle away. So it doesn't really even feel like, it just feels like it's chopping around rather than being a pivot, you know? If we had cleaner price action where it just dropped down, moved back up, and then dropped down, and then later it started to curl back up and it was breaking over a pivot, that would be better. I actually like sold at the low of this candle. This candle, like this is crazy. I bought it at 14, which was the high of that candle, and I sold at 98. The low was 97. Absolutely insane. For a second it said 98, but then it changed to 97. Yeah, I don't know. Anyways, absolutely insane. So I did end up getting back in here. Once again, not proud of this trade. This is totally revenge trading. And yeah, not a trade I'm really proud of at all. But it does end up working out in my favor. However, it still feels way too early for a break over any pivot here. It doesn't just feels like chopping around, but we do get a move back up to the previous high. But it rejects pretty quickly, and I don't end up getting that much profit out, all things considered. And I sold at 19, so only about a 4-cent winner, which is terrible for the amount it moved. This next trade I don't actually know. I think I was going for a micro pullback slash red to green move there. I don't know. So these are not setups that I'm supposed to be taking in a cold market. This is completely at a random spot. I think this one ends up working out in my favor, fortunately, but still not a really good setup or one I should be taking by any means. So this next trade I took, I couldn't tell you. I think it was the break over 4 is what I was going for. If you're going for the break over a whole dollar in a cold market, it's risky, and obviously this wasn't that good of a trade because MACD is negative as well, and this does look like it's just selling off. If it was pulling away and it was breaking over 4, that'd be different, but it doesn't look very bullish right now at all. So this was an absolutely terrible trade, and it's, like I said, it's just riskier in a colder market to be buying the break over these levels because it is, at the end of the day, resistance. If you're under it, it's different if you're getting the bounce off of these levels or a dip off of these levels, where you can use it as support. So that was a little loser there. Not the end of the world or anything, but not something I should have taken. This next trade, I don't know. I just thought I was getting a low risk entry near VWAP. Honestly, don't even know, to be quite honest with you. And I let this one play out for a while. So I end up selling right there at 391. So not a bad trade in terms of it being a winner, but it's not a setup I should be taking once again. So I'm not being picky enough, clearly. Going into tomorrow, I really have to just stick to these setups I have here, and I have to stick to the front side of the move. This is obviously the back side of the move. MACD is negative. It's trending lower, and I'm really just grasping at straws at this point. So here's a setup I actually am allowed to take. It was a dip off of VWAP, but once again, it just isn't really pulling away at all here, so it's not a great setup. And I don't think this one ends up working. And I didn't really even use VWAP as my support because I sold below the 9 EMA. I just let it keep going lower. And finally I sold it there. Next trade I took was super risky on AHMA. This stock has a float of 2.02 million shares, so low float. The price is good. I like that. But I really just, it wasn't like there was an actual setup I was looking at. I just totally jumped in here, hoping to pull some profit out. And and get lucky, I suppose. And I know, like, this is when I realized I was like, wait, like, if I lose on this, this would be terrible because I'm already down more than what I usually am winning. Um, and so this was just not a great trade. I don't know what I was thinking, but clearly I'm emotionally hijacked at this point, and this is so bad to see that I was down that much. And I ended up selling that for more of a loss than all those trades on UGRO, which is terrible. So bad. So I get in for first candle to make a new high here. I really should not be trading this. But that brings me back to $1 in the red on this, which was good. Just not a great way to get there, honestly. Not the time to be over trading. And that actually brought me to in the green on it with that little trade right there, which was good. But at the end of the day, I really shouldn't have been trading this, and I shouldn't have been taking more than half of the trades I took on UGRO. So this next trade I take here was the dip off of the 9 EMA. This honestly isn't that bad of a trade. I would probably take this if I wasn't, even if I wasn't like emotionally hijacked. But I honestly should have waited for it to dip down to the 9 EMA or make first candle and make a new high. Because sometimes what will happen is that it bases out there for a second and then it drops down to the 9 EMA and then people start selling at the 9 EMA who bought where I bought. But this ends up working for a little bit. Oof. And that's what we don't want to see. So yeah, this ends up being a shooting star and this ends up just dropping below the 9 EMA. So the next trade I took was this just pulling away. No real setup, but it ends up halting going up, which was good because I ended up getting out of here with some profit. So it ends up opening here at 44. I could have gotten a lot more profit on that, but I was okay with just taking what I got because it was about 20 cents on that trade, so not bad. But this was super risky. The stock didn't have news other than what they just put out, and it was the volatility halt. Really strange that it was just going up on no news. But not my best day of trading. The grand P&L today was 60 cents, so nothing to call home about. But it was another day where it was just a roller coaster, and I really probably shouldn't have traded as much as I did. I'm not proud of over trading or revenge trading or FOMOing in at all, but I'm grateful to be green. That's all I have for you guys today. I hope you all enjoyed. I hope you all are staying disciplined, not falling into FOMO as much as I am right now. But with that, I'll see y'all in the next one. Peace.